Um, yeah, I think it'll financially be, hello, Joey. It'll be financially be a way better investment for me. But I thought we were buying into this idea where people who loved cars, 15 of us that all own high-end cars, go car events, car things together, like kind of a bromance for high-end cars, if you will.
right?
And they're just full on blowing up the business
Money.
and cutting, yeah, they're cutting all the waste and cutting all the fat. And your division of that company loses us hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Um, so, but cutting out a lot of nepotism too.
That's real though. You got to make money out of something.
Yeah. So, I mean, we were already profitable, but when you cut a lot of that fat, I think it becomes way more profitable. So that's always great. And I'm excited about that. But we're expanding into Idaho too. Stuff you probably shouldn't tell others. I don't know how public that is yet, but we're going to open up a,
They had a meeting like 10 days ago where Jeff and Ryan and one other guy just spoke at us. Told us about some of the expansion.
yeah, it's exciting. I think at the end of the day, I'm excited for it. But all right. So when John gets on, I'll give you he's a pretty cool guy. He spent I'll tell you a little bit about him, I guess, when he gets on. He spent a few years in oh, I'll tell you when he gets on. Let's just go until he does get on. Let's go around Robin real quick. Madriaga, I have you top left. Give us a quick update in the last 30 days. Goods, bads.
Goods. Schoolwork is going easy. It's going well. Not a lot of stress on that front. Bads, I've had over $2,900 of random expensive payments come up. And so that's been rough, but I've recovered enough from the first one. So I still was able to save a couple $100 last month, but then this one set me back another 14, 13. So I'm
Well,
working on cutting the other areas of my budget to save for that. But otherwise, we're doing pretty good.
well, we'll talk some more about it. I want to give John his time while he's on. Thank you, John, for jumping on. Record this so the boys can rewatch. Guys, let me introduce you to John Madsen. I've had the pleasure of getting to know John, honestly, through social media. I saw him on the side of the street and I was like, aren't you that guy? And they're like, yeah. And his came over, said hi, and we've been able to build a friendship. And do some election day stuff together. I'm not sure if everybody on here is red or blue, so I'll keep my Trumpisms on a minimal. But at the same time, John has spent 3 years in professional football, I believe. Three, right, John?
Yeah, 3 years.
Came out of it, thought I'd invite him over for a football game. He's like, I don't really watch that. I don't really care about this as much as I used to. And built a business out of helping people be mentally and physically healthy. Um, John now has thousands of followers paying him anywhere, I think, as low as 10 grand up to north of 30 grand a year just to teach them how to eat healthy, be healthy, live healthy. And he makes millions doing it. So when we're talking this week about what it is to live healthy, be healthy, and grow from low 20s to high 20s and as early as the 30s and be different men than the other 4 billion guys out there that just want to ride some random chick and have dreams they don't know how to work for, I think John's going to speak to that healthily today. He's happily married. He's a great father and he's financially stable. So, John, I'm going to let you talk to them about that and just feel free to share and chat. And the floor is yours. And then afterward, guys, come up with I want at least one good question from John for each of you. For John from each of you. Cool. Thanks, guys.
Cool, man. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I met Cam on the side of the road. He hung out the window. He's like, "Hey, are you that guy that says if you don't make at least 150 grand?" That's how that's my hook when I advertise on social media. And so he said something interesting. He said, I have followers, a bunch of followers paying me, meaning clients. But it was pretty interesting. There was a time where I was making $1 million a month and I had less than 1,000 followers on Instagram. And I'm an online coach. And so what we do is, we have a fitness product where we service very high level men and women now that are, they're doing great in their business life. A lot of times they burnt the candle at both ends because they've been on this chase for success. They've been on this chase for money. And a lot of times they wake up at 45 years old, 50 years old, they look in the mirror and, you know, maybe their health isn't complete dog shit, but they don't respect the image that's looking back. Because I realized very early on that men all, we're kind of cut from the same cloth. And a lot of what you guys are doing right now, you want to be successful. Well, have you ever asked yourself why? And maybe some of you have, maybe some of you haven't, right? But if you're on this call, that means you want something, because otherwise you would be playing video games, watching porn, you know, doing a bunch of different stuff that people in your, you know, in your age demographic would do. But you're here, I see you taking notes, and you're listening to Cameron, you have an accountability group. And so it's interesting though to figure out, like, why do you even want to be successful? Right. And so let me just start there. I'll ask all of you, because maybe you haven't, like, I'm interested for your answer. So Hunter, like, why do you even want to be successful in the first place?
Let's go with Hunter Hellman. And by the way, John, all of them just completed the 100 they want to buys and 100 activities they want to do. I made them do that last month.
Amazing.
Hellman, you're up first because there's two Hunters.
Um, I have asked myself this question and I don't have an answer.
Okay, we'll go next. I'm not going to probe.
Hunter, Mudrovich, can you jump on?
Yeah, so I want to be successful because I want to be a provider for my family. Both my grandpas are first generation. So my grandpa on my dad's side, born in Croatia. Grandpa on my mom's side was born here, but his whole family was from Germany, and they built themselves up from nothing. And I'm very inspired by that. So I want to continue that kind of self-made stuff.
Awesome. Let me ask you this. So you said you want to provide. Once you get to the point where you're going to provide, are you going to want anything more? Or are you going to start, or is that it?
It's a good question. Yes, probably.
Okay.
I think there's an ego side too, where you want to keep gaining that status and that financial freedom. So yes, I think so. I think the main priority, I want to make sure I can provide, obviously, future wife, future kids, but then my sisters and my parents. My mom's special education teacher. I want to help her retire,
Amazing.
and help them buy their dream home and let them live out their retirement the rest of their life comfortably and the way they always dreamed of.
Amazing. Love it. All right, Joey.
Yeah, I think the underlying, initial factor is provide for, future family and stuff like that. I think kind of what my dream has always been, and I've seen some, family friends of mine do this, is work to the point of financial freedom and then be able to kind of have the freedom and time to, approach philanthropic things, like maybe not start a foundation, but move from the for profit to nonprofit and work and spend time, bettering the world around me, with the money I've been hopefully have accumulated, and that kind of thing. So
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Joshua.
Yeah, hey John. Thanks so much, first of all, for taking the time to meet with us. And the answer to why I want to be successful is because I want to do what it takes to earn respect and the ability to inspire others. And when I say respect, I also mean my own respect for myself, knowing that I did my absolute best to become the best man that I thought possible. So that's what my pillar of inspiration is.
I love it. I love it. Ethan.
I can go. I grew up really poor and simple. I don't want to be poor ever again. I didn't come from a very stable family. I want to build a stable family. And everything that comes after that, I want to be strong in the foundations that I've built. I want to be successful so I can surround myself with strong, amazing people who are also successful. And I've been mentored quite a lot to get to the point where I'm at. And I want to be able to give back and mentor others as well.
Amazing. I would just say, when someone asks you what you want, don't go to don't want. That's an away from motivation, which is powerful, but don't want to be poor, right? You're actually focusing on poor because your brain doesn't negate. So when someone asks you what you want next time, just go straight for what you want. Much more powerful. But it's a strong internal motivator to not want something, but language is powerful. So always place that on what you do want because where focus goes, energy flows. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
We don't even want to say poor. One last one. I think it's Drew. J. Rue. Yeah.
Hey, yeah, John, I appreciate your time. Actually, no, I've not asked myself that question before, but I think it's twofold, and I think it's simple. One, I want to make my mama proud, and I want stability. When I was younger, my grandfather paid for my sports, and if I went skiing or learned how, it was off his dollar. Just want to be able to do that.
Amazing. I love your answers. And the reason I wanted to kind of start there is it gives me insight into limitation into a person's mindset. And the interesting thing is, I'm going to talk about physical fitness and how this all, goes into it in a second. But um, I asked you an open-ended question. It's like, what do you want? There was no stipulations on what you could have, right? There was whatever you wanted. And a lot of your answers were kind of like, I just want to provide, or which is it's a fine goal. But I would encourage every single person here. You're so young. It'd be like you could have whatever you wanted. So why not aim for something magnificent? Think about this. There's what, 8 billion people on the planet? And unless like there's only one of you that has the fingerprint that you have. It's like you're on purpose. You're on purpose and you can have whatever you want. So don't stop way before your potential. Make sense? You can have whatever you want, which is amazing. And so a little bit about me, then we're going to talk about this physical fitness stuff. I grew up, I love sports. Anybody love sports on here? Yeah. I grew up, I was a kid that was playing basketball, baseball, football. Like my parents didn't need to tell me to go to practice. Like I was pulling them out the door, like it's time to go to practice. When I got to the point where I was in high school, I went to the weight room for the very first time. And I went into that weight room and it never occurred to me that I was strong or not strong or whatever. I was just an athlete. And so to try out for the football team as a sophomore, we had to max out on bench press, squat, deadlift in one of those high school weight rooms, right? Never done any of it. I went with 4 of my friends into the back corner. We started bench pressing and we started there because the rest of the stuff looked like it would be difficult. You've never power cleaned before. It's not an easy movement. So anyways, my friends take off load up the bar. They're repping it out. We get to the point where there's 25 pounds on each side on an Olympic bar. That's 95 pounds. They lift it off from me and it comes crushing down on my chest. Like literally, I thought my sternum was broken. And I'm like, I'm a sophomore. 95 pounds is not that heavy, right? All my friends could do it. They lifted it off for me like it was going to be a warm up and it crushes me. Not only did it crush my sternum, it crushed my confidence right in the moment. And I got up there and I realized that I wasn't going to play football. And I had played since I was 10 years old. Was one of the best players on on all the little league teams. But I got home, I told my dad, I said, Dad, this is what happened. Like I'm the weakest kid in the class. Like I'm going to get killed out there. Can you help me get strong? And so I had this moment where there was like two different roads. This road, I could just go be a geek, maybe not play sports, give it up. I'm weak. You know, I'm not an athlete. But then the other one was like, I'm so insecure about my weakness. I want to go fix it. And so my dad and I started to train every night. And then we got to the point where, he didn't really know a lot about strength and conditioning. So he hired a strength and conditioning coach where for 3 years, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday night, I met this guy. He was this powerlifting dude that just freaking crushed me. Every time I went, I threw up so many times working out with this dude. But for 3 years, like I started to realize, like, not only was my body changing, it's like in my mind, every time I was there and my friends weren't, I was like, I was closing the gap. And I'm like, one day I'm going to be strong and powerful. Like, because I can still see these kids' faces when I was 15 years old, when I got crushed by the bar. They were laughing and joking around. They didn't mean anything by it. We're all boys. Like, I do the same thing to them. Um, but I knew I was like, that wasn't the end of the story. And so, long story short, though, I never play a single down of high school football. Not one. I was up in the stands. I was up in the stands watching my friends play. And at the end of my high school graduation, I didn't have a single scholarship offer. I was a basketball player and I was a baseball player. I went to a local junior college and I tried out for football because I had some friends that played high school football that I knew I was better than that were going out and they had scholarships to play at this junior college. Everyone thought I was crazy. They're like, how are you going to go play college football when you've never played high school? But in my mind, I could do it. See, like that thought was there for a reason. So I make the team. Then I transfer to the University of Utah. At that point, I don't know if you guys are college football fans or not. Urban Meyer was a coach, Hall of Fame coach, but we go um, we go undefeated my junior year and we win the Fiesta Bowl. I score a touchdown. I have about 100 NFL agents calling me every single day. You're going to be a first round draft pick. You're going to be a first round draft pick. And they're just courting me. I'm like, bro, like this dream, like my dream from the time I was 7 years old was to be a professional athlete. And so here I am, like right in the moment. There used to be this show on TV called MTV Cribs. You know, I don't know if anybody watched it, but it's like rappers and their houses and their cars. And I love cars. Right now, I got a Ferrari, Lamborghini, G-Wagon. I've been through them. I love cars. But back then, I mean, back then I'm watching this MTV Cribs. I'm like, man, I'm about to get $1 million in my pocket. And my dad was a truck driver for 30 years. My mom was a hairstylist, very middle class, right? This was out of the ordinary type of money. 3 games to go my senior year, I break my leg and I can't run for 12 months. NFL dreams gone over like in a second. I remember being in the locker room with my leg was like literally just dangling. And I'm asking them how long it's going to take for me to be able to run again because I had just gotten invited to the combine. I had just gotten invited to these all-star games, and they're looking at me like, dude, this is like a year injury. And I'm like, I couldn't get it in the moment. So I don't run for 12 months. I got a $5,000 plane. I got a plane ticket and a $5,000 signing bonus to try out for the Oakland Raiders that next year. I went into training camp. Barely was I able to run. And I was the only undrafted guy to make that team that year. And then I played for 3 years, scored 2 NFL touchdowns. I did a lot of special teams. I was out there grinding. I made $275,000 was my rookie salary, and then I got a bonus for about another 150. So each year I was making about 400 grand. I was 20, 24, 25, 26 years old. I thought I was rich. I thought I was rich. And just to give you an example, yesterday we did $250,000 in sales. Yesterday, one day. So my whole NFL, pretty much my whole rookie salary was done yesterday in my company. Right. And I'm talking about money because you guys were talking about money. And I want to give you the whole picture. So I played for 3 years. And then at the end of that, I had about 300 grand left. I put 100 grand into a gym because I wanted to go back and give back to the kids like me who just wanted it more than the next kid. Right. I knew that there was a lot of kids out there that I could help them in the physical aspect and the mental aspect if they wanted to go play college ball or if they just wanted to go from, bench warmer to making the high school team. I knew what strength and conditioning did for my life. Without it, there was no NFL career, right? So I went back, opened up a gym, and I bought a home, had to put 100 grand down. So all of a sudden, I put $100,000 into my gym, $100,000 into a home, and I had $100,000 left. And in 16 months, I almost went out of business. Had to shut down the gym, had a 5-year lease, had to move all the stuff out. And that was back in 2010. It took me 10 years in the fitness industry to make my first $1 million, and that was 2020. 2010, to 2020. Now people see me in this industry and we're number one in the world, right? We're number one in the world. They think I'm an overnight success. It's no overnight success story. This was a 14-year test that I was willing to go all the way. But I had ambition. I have ambition. I have ambition coursing through my veins, right? And so what I've done is I've trained myself not to stop before my potential ends. Because when I got to the NFL, I realized that it wasn't talent, it wasn't a talent thing why I got cut at 27 years old. It was because it was enough for me. And this is the lesson for you guys. That's why I asked my guy, I'm like, okay, you want to be a provider. Well, when you provide, is that enough? Because at a certain point, there probably is enough. There's enough for every single person in my life, they've stopped at enough. Except for the special ones. That ambition is overflowing, right? And so I really want to push you guys to think in a way that's like way bigger than you're even able to articulate. See, I wanted freedom. Like at the root of it, I realized that I wanted freedom. Freedom was freedom to me was like, I don't need to look at a price tag. I don't need to, if you go out to a fancy dinner, I don't care if a steak says $250 A5 Wagyu, like the price is irrelevant in my world. I want to, travel. I want to do whatever. Like to me, freedom of expression, freedom of my life was really what I was playing for. And I think a lot of you guys are too, right? So it's interesting to explore those reasons because we're all driven by something. And usually the closer we get to like real human nature stuff, which sometimes, might sound weird, but it's like, why do guys go into business and make so much money and then forget about their health in the process? It's like, what's driving them for the money? On some level, status, respect, right? It's attraction. It's like how you attract a mate. It's like you're not going to attract the best mate if you're broke. So it's like guys go down this road and it's like they're chasing money, chasing money, chasing money, chasing money, chasing money. Why? Respect, sex, attraction, status. It's like that's why they're driven to do these things most of the time, right? But then a lot of the times the guys come in my world, and again, like I started this call, is they look in the mirror, they're like, who is that guy? Who is that guy? Because without your health, does any of it really matter? You get to the point you're 50 years old and you guys make $1 billion. If you don't have your health and your doctor says, yo, you got 50 pounds to lose, your cholesterol's like sky high, all your blood markers are dog shit. Does that money really matter that much in that moment? It doesn't, right? And so I think I believe that fitness is the gateway drug to excellence. And that's why I'm in this industry. People look at me, they're like, John, you're in the fitness industry. I'm like, nah, I'm not really in the fitness industry. I'm in the excellence industry. I want to be excellent. When I walk into a room, there's nothing that is ordinary about me. Like I'm going to walk into a room, I'm going to fill it up. Right. And so you can't do that though, if you're mediocre in your fitness. And so again, fitness is the gateway drug to excellence. And I really believe that if a person like really takes their fitness seriously, it's a metaphor it's a metaphor for other areas of their life. And I'll explain that in a second. And so number one, a physically fit person is going to have the respect of who? Himself first. You look into a mirror and you respect what you see. You respect the work that you've done. You respect the fact that you aren't other people will choose instant gratification and you don't have to. Because what other way, like, and we do a lot of, I mean, if you really want to get fit, nutrition's a big part of it. That's the hardest part for people. Going to the gym's not that hard. It's kind of fun. You get strong, you get to lift some weights. Like most people, the gym part's not that hard. The hard part is not eating the dog shit food that everybody else eats because it tastes good. Because you're not like everybody else. See, that's why the mentality is so different. Everybody knows that you should go to the gym and you should eat good. Why then do you go to the airport and you see 90% of people in dog shit health? It's right here. So if you attack fitness with that edge, because I'm not like other people, I don't need instant gratification. I don't need to eat this bullshit right now because I'm playing the long game. Is it really that difference than investing your money? Not really, right? Because a lot of you guys want to go buy a nice watch. You want to buy the Rolex now, but it's not time. So you're doing what Cameron tells you, and you stuff and you're stuffing and you're investing and you're investing, and the time's gonna come, and it's gonna feel fucking good when you go in there when it's the time to buy whatever it is you want, if you like it, right? But other dumbasses your age just go and buy a bunch of bullshit. They're not getting ahead. So in the same way, fitness can be attacked the very same way. Fitness is a mentality. It's a mentality. Money's a mentality, right? And so, yeah, the first thing, like fitness, you respect you, and then the world respects you. You can't get respect from the world if you don't respect you. So everybody goes and they demand respect from the world, but they don't respect themselves. That's the first reason I love fitness. The second is the consistency and routine. See, if you're ever going to build a physique that's admirable, you're going to have a lot of consistency, and you're going to have a routine. And both of those things give you structure. And so that consistency, again, it's like I love fitness, and I tell my group this all the time, is it's hard to practice consistency, right? If you're an athlete and you want to be a better basketball player, you're practicing dribbling, you're practicing free throw shooting, you're practicing different moves. You want to be great in life, you got to be consistent. So what are some things that you can practice every day that flexes that consistency muscle? Because if you're more consistent, you're going to be a better father, you're going to be a better husband, you're going to be a better business owner, you're going to be better at everything. But how do you practice consistency? Fitness is a great way. You get to the gym 5 times a week. You hit your macros 5 times a week, right? It's just like you're training that muscle in you that, once again, most people don't have. And you guys wouldn't be on this call if you wanted what other people have. So I'm knowing that I'm talking to you in a certain way. Some people don't give a fuck. They're just gonna go float around. But you guys are not those people, because you're right here taking notes, and you're listening to me right now, but you're in Cameron's group. So if you've not been consistent when it comes to your physicality, then maybe it's time to do so. If for nothing else, you want to build that consistency within you. Just like my business took from 2010 to 2014, fitness is a lifelong game. It's not a 90-day thing. It's not a year thing. It's not a 5-year thing. It's like, you do fitness for 15 years. I'm 41, right? I have a lot of interest built up in there. It's like the rich get richer, the fit have a lot of leeway, right? I can go to dinner and go out with Cameron and eat 10 donuts. I'm still gonna have a 6-pack in the morning because it's built up over time, right? And then here, not to mention energy, vitality, think about how much more energy a person has if they're physically fit. I'll tell you a story that my daughter wanted to go to the zoo, and there was this zoo in Arizona that was like not a normal zoo. So it was like an hour and a half like in the middle of nowhere. The zoo, like, it was in the middle of nowhere. And so anyways, they got a bunch of tigers there. And so we get to this zoo and I'm watching people and I'm trying not to judge them, but I'm like, man, everybody is so out of shape. I'm thinking this and I'm telling my wife, like, how is everybody so out of shape? It's crazy. Anyways, um, they tell us that you can take the little bus up to the top to where the tigers were, or you could walk. It was pretty hot. It was like 95 degrees. And so I grab my daughter, she's 6.5. I put her on my shoulders and I just like hike her up the mountain. And then she starts walking, she starts playing a little bit. She sees the tiger finally, and all of a sudden she gets like heat stroke, not heat stroke, but like she gets dehydrated. She starts throwing up. And my wife's going like, "Oh my God, we got to get her to the car." And again, this isn't like the Phoenix Zoo where there's like medical staff everywhere. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere. And I'm like, shit. So I grab her. She's like 55 pounds and long. And I have her like I have an ice bag trying to cool her down on my chest. And I put her head right here and I'm just like hugging her. And my biceps are like gonna like I feel like they're gonna tear because like lugging her down the mountain is not easy. So I get her all the way down, sweat's like literally dripping off my face, and finally get her to the car. And all I can think is like, I gotta make it to the car. And then I get to the car and I'm like, you know what's sad? There's two people that I saw at the zoo that could probably do that. Me and my wife would have done it if I couldn't do it. And everybody else would have had to wait for somebody to come up there and get them in a golf cart, and there'd be time that would be passing. My daughter was fine, but it was one of those moments that made me realize that your physical fitness isn't always tested in life, especially now. Like our lives are soft. We're not out there hunting bears and hunting, saber-toothed tigers. We're like we can get DoorDash to our fucking home, right? Like we're soft compared to what other generations had to do. So we're not always tested when it comes to our physical fitness. But sometimes we are. Sometimes we are. And I'd rather be ready, especially in a moment like that, than I can't imagine a dad being like, I can't make it to the like I'm not in shape enough to fucking make it to the car. You said you want to provide. That to me is part of providing, right? It's like that's part of the providing right there. I'm going to end with this and then I'll just open it up for questions. Um, I said the body's like a great metaphor for other aspects of your life. Here's the thing. I'm going to push you, whether we talk again, you ever see me again or not, to go all the way in your fitness. Not like I want to lose 10 pounds and like not I want to be mediocre, but you want to be in the type of fitness that's admirable to people, that inspires people, that when you're over, like people will make jokes about like how fit you are. That kind of fitness where you're like, you're that fit. If you can do it in your body, you can do it in your life. And here's the muscle that I want you to train there. It's not about just, for vanity's sake, being able to rip your shirt off and having like a chiseled six pack, although that's awesome and that's cool. And I don't think anything's wrong with that. I think it's dope. But motivation for people, they usually want something, and this goes full circle back to what I was talking about. They want just to have enough. And so they're motivated to a certain point, and then they always stop. And everything we do is a pattern. Okay? And so your body's a great way to break that pattern. It's to break that unconscious pattern. You go all the way. You go all the way because you can. And when you do it in your body, it breaks that pattern for other areas in your life. I have guys in this program, guys, like my program, the lowest option is 10 grand. We have a 30 grand option for fitness. And we did 200 grand again today. So 2 days in a row, over 200 grand in sales. So people are buying this like crazy. Our clients, a lot of them have businesses over $1 million. We have guys that have businesses over 100 million. So we have guys that make way more money than I do. They get in elite shape, and to a man, their business explodes even more. The routine, the focus, they're clear-headed, they're not drinking as much. It's crazy. It just unlocks another level. And so again, if we never talk again, I would really urge you guys to take that fitness to a whole new level. Like you're the guy. And just watch what it does for the rest of your life. Watch what it does for the rest of your life. Go ahead. I'll let anyone ask however many questions and then we'll call it a night. Yeah.
Guys, I took copious notes and I recorded the thing. And so these better be some great fucking questions. Who wants to go first? Anchor.
Hey, you got it. Thanks so much for that, John. Really inspiring and a really good centralized message that you gave us there. So one of the things that I picked up as a central theme is that, we're chasing after excellence and that excellence permeates and overlaps in so many different realms of our life. And two of the things we focused on for the most part are fitness and then also our like financial well-being and our ability to provide. So in my mind, those are a bit more like quantifiable, right? You can measure that. You can use numbers to see how you're progressing in both of those avenues. So I'm curious, what are some of the ways that you use mental checks or ways to, kind of push past what's measurable in other areas of your life? So things that are more like either mental or spiritual or with relationships, in your marriage. How are ways that you keep yourself in check, make sure that you're still meeting that goal of excellence?
Yeah, I think that I'm a big fan of like process-oriented goals, right? There's a book, if you probably never read it. I'm looking on my shelf to see if I have it, but it's called Chop Wood, Carry Water. It's like a theme of my life, right? I love chop wood, carry water. And so I try to find the things in every area that's like chop wood, carry water. For fitness, it's you hit the gym 4 to 5 times a week. You hit your macro counts, you get adequate protein every single day. You get 10,000 steps at least so that you're not sedentary. That's chop wood, carry water. Every day you do it, and then inevitably you're gonna reach the destination of excellence, however long it takes. And so I like process goals like that, whether it would be relationship or even investing. It's like, what are things that I can do consistently that are the most important things that's going to take me to the destination? And I focus on that stuff because as long as you're doing that with the right intention and the right intensity, it's only a matter of time, right? It's only a matter of time before you get the result. And then obviously you have to be aware in all those areas to have some self-awareness if you're not hitting the mark. And so, sometimes to your point, you're not going to have specific goals possibly in relationship, but if you're aware if that relationship is not where it needs to be or if you're in a great relationship. And so I think self-awareness is key. You have to keep yourself in check by being really honest with yourself. And then in whatever area you want to improve, find that whatever that chop wood, carry water process is, and then just relentlessly attack it. You can't miss when you do that.
Awesome. Thank you. I'll have to get that book. Thanks for the
Yeah,
ride.
it's good. It's great. Easy read too.
Who's next?
I'll go.
Okay.
Yeah. First, just want to echo what a lot of others have said. Thanks for taking the time here, John. I am a football fan, so I do remember that that Utah season. I think Alex Smith was your guys' quarterback that year.
Yep.
But what I wanted to ask was, you mentioned that when you were reaching the end of your pro career, it wasn't necessarily a talent thing. It was more sound like a drive or an interest at that time. So I was wondering, what were some of the feelings you were going through at that time, just with the professional career sunsetting and looking at that next stage in your life?
It was a lesson that I needed for the rest of my life. I realized now. And so when I got there, it was like my whole life I wanted to hit this goal of being a professional athlete. You ask me when I'm 7, I'd be like, I want to be a professional athlete. You ask me when I'm 12, professional athlete. You ask me my senior year of high school when I don't have a single scholarship offer, I want to be a professional athlete. So when I got there, at first it was like this dream come true. my first year. Like I did whatever it took to make that team. Going into my third year, all of a sudden it was like I remember one of the writers for the Oakland Raiders, they're like, John's going to be the next guy that makes a big contract. His contract's up this year. So I'm like coming into this unknown territory of like, oh, I've made it. And what happened was I took a breath and I was like, it was enough. That was the end of my ambition in that time of my life. And because of that, because the game was just a little bit too big for me, I played small and I started to play not to lose. It's like I was just hanging on and then I couldn't play, right? And so when I unpacked all that, and it took years, by the way, I realized that the next part of my life, I wasn't going to get to a point where I made the mistake of thinking too small. It's like now I learned that lesson. And like in this fitness company, I'm like, I'm not here to compete. I'm here to be the best. And of course, there's going to be a time where it's like, okay, I've accomplished all this thing. It doesn't mean I have to be like a hamster in a wheel that just never stops. There's this fulfillment piece that's still there. But at the same time, I just promised myself that I wasn't going to play this game of life with prevent defense. If you're a football fan, you see your team go prevent defense, they lose the game. And there's too many people in their lives playing prevent defense. I'm offense. That was my lesson.
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing that. Because I've always been a sports fan growing up, and one thing that I've never really, I guess, gotten the opportunity to ask was just like, what is it like when that career ends, and how has that impacted your way of thinking and just your life, after that point. So I do appreciate you.
It was brutal, bro. Like it was most guys, like if I go to an alumni weekend with the guys that I played with, no matter if they played 12 years, 15 years, then I only played 3, overwhelmingly 90% lives go like this.
They're realtors,
I mean, the best ones.
Mhm.
car salesmen, realtors. The lucky ones turn it into a
I
car.
mean, most of them are not doing any of that, right? Most of them are not doing any of that. And so it's sad because what happens is you get stuck in this identity. And I went through it. And so there was this identity of like me, I was an NFL player, like that was me. Now all of a sudden, one day you're an NFL player, the very next you're not. Like, who are you? And so the tendency is just to hang on to that past identity and never create a new one. So nobody reinvents themselves in a way that's very positive. They're always talking about the good old days, when it's like, dude, I don't give it that. That's why I don't love sports as much anymore, Cameron, is because it's like it's an old identity that I had to break to be here. It's not that I don't love sports anymore. It's just I broke up with that identity. That was my life. And now like my future is my creation. So to your point, most players don't do it well. It was a 5-year, very hard time in my life where I didn't know who I was or what I was doing. Luckily, I didn't get swallowed up in it and I came out on the other side.
Great question. Who's next? Joey.
Hey, John. Yeah, thank you again for talking to us. My question, I mean, just give a little background. I played college ball. I play rugby now and go to the gym. I get an occasional comment like, "Hey, yeah, like you lift and everything," but I feel like I'm just I've reached this point of like good enough, right? Kind of what you mentioned, where it's like mo compared to most people, I'm in good shape. I go to the gym 5 times a week, eat pretty well, but I feel like there's just this other level I can never break through. And I'm curious, in your experience, I think I'm not going to say it's easier to make a big transition from being super out of shape and then going straight to it. But for those who are kind of already, kind of close, but how would you motivate someone to get over that hump and kind of, yeah, break through that kind of good enough potential?
I mean, just what I did before in the whole talk is like I think excellence is an edge. And so
Mm,
that's my motivation for being excellent in fitness is not necessarily, again, the shredded six pack. It's like my edge is not being the same as everybody else.
Okay.
I'm willing to go the distance. Now, the other thing is like you ever there's this other book called U Squared. Anybody read that? It's like really, really little, but there's this story about, when like a fly like comes into your house and it's like one of those big ass flies that just buzzes like crazy loud, and you're like, bro, like, is this a bee or like a horsefly? What is it? And it's just like banging its head up. It's banging against the window, and it's like zzz, zzz, zzz. You're like, dude, I'm gonna smash your ass in a second, right? And right 5 feet away, there's a door that's wide open, and that fly could just fly out the door, but it's banging its head up against the wall, right? So there's a part of reaching the next level, like in your case, where it's fitness, where you might just not know, even if you have an extensive athletic career, it's like you might not know how easy it is to get to that next level. Like in your case, it could be you just don't quite like you could do the same stuff that you're doing in the gym that you're already putting effort into. But if you tweak the way that you eat, in 12 weeks, you reach that next level and it's like, like that shit was easy. Or you could try to do it with force, which is like, I just going to do it the way that I've always done it. And I'm just going to keep doing it. I'm going to do, and it's like that next level eludes you because it never occurred to you that there was an easier way. It's okay to do stuff an easier way, right? And so sometimes it's a knowledge thing and an understanding where that next level just takes a new level of understanding. You already can work, you're already working hard. It's just like now focus on the right stuff. Make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
Yeah.
look for that kind of open door. And
Yep.
yeah, awesome. That's very helpful. Thank you.
I'm taking
Go
notes.
for it. Yep. Go, bud. Ethan.
Yeah, thank you again for coming on tonight. I'm just feeling hyped up and inspired talking to you. This is great. Um, since your background isn't really in business and then transferring from a sports background and owning gyms and stuff like that into multi-figure millionaire who's extremely successful, what are some like key business terms that you've had to learn over the years? And like you said, you're the 1%, like you're the best of the best. And what are some of those things that got you into the best of the best in this business, not necessarily having a business background?
Yeah, you're right. I went from sports to opening my first gym, and I struggled for a lot of years, right? And so there was a whole lot of understanding. I didn't understand money. I didn't understand a lot of things. So what I focused on and what got me to this point is I understood at a certain point that marketing was a mechanism. If I couldn't get people that didn't know I existed into my pipeline, then I didn't really have a business. And so I understood the power of the internet. Like I started to see social media and all this stuff. And like, I just went deep into understanding marketing and sales in the beginning. And that was like the fuel and oxygen for my business. So if someone's like, dude, I want to go into business, like what should I study? Like in my opinion, there's a lot of things you could study, but if you don't know marketing and sales, you better find that person. Or in my case, I think it's one of the best skill sets that you can ever have because I can print money with words. I can print money with a camera. Like I understand human psychology, and really that's why I understand marketing to where no matter what happens, I can make money. It's a skill set that is like just most people don't have it. And it took me a long time to, I had to go deep. And then from there, there's a lot of stuff that I didn't know even when I was making, we were making millions of dollars and I didn't really even truly understand how to read financial statements. So this whole past 18 months, I've been mentored by CEO that's done well over 100 million, like teaching me specific financials. And so I would just tell you, like, be humble in that I'm always looking for somebody that can teach me things, right? And it's okay to not know everything right out the gate, but it's like you're going to learn in layers. It's just where do you start? For me, if I'm a business guy, marketing and sales, I'm just like own that and then move on to the next thing and then move on to the next thing, right?
Yeah, totally. Thank you.
Yeah.
I have one more question. What is your favorite book?
Favorite book, dude, so good. The Feeling is a Secret, Neville Goddard.
Okay. I've
Yep.
never heard that. I'll have to check that out.
It's pretty wide. It's kind of out there, but I'm a
I like that.
yeah, yep. It's good. I
True.
like the science of getting rich too. Wallace Wattles, that's an oldie, but a goodie.
Yeah, I'll write that.
You read a lot of books?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. That's why it was hard for me to dude, hard for me to choose. Ayn Rand too, if you guys like fiction. I'm not even a fiction reader, but like Atlas Shrugged will tell you a lot about this world that we're living in right now.
True. Thanks again, John. I appreciate you and your time. Honestly, I got a lot. I liked just like the tough love, the ambition, chase excellence. It's pretty easy to be complacent or soft, and I kind of just love to get on your edge. I have a few different ones. Nothing. I guess I guess the first one is what's your daily 9 to 5 look like? Like, are you yeah, I guess I'll start there. What's your daily 9 to 5 look like?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I wake up at 4:30 in the morning. I'm at the gym at 5 to 5:15. So first thing I do, drink a liter of water. Second thing I do is hit my favorite coffee machine, drink it black. Third thing I do, scroll social media for a second while I drink that coffee, and then bam, I'm out the door. I'm in the gym. I get back from the gym about 6:30 a.m. That's about when I have a wife and daughter. She's 6.5. They start getting up around that time. And so from there, it's like hanging out with daughter, helping her get ready. I drop her off at school at 8:30. I usually get breakfast right up the road. I'm in my office at 9:30. Different days have different types of meetings, but really what I'm paid the big money for is marketing. And so I'm constantly writing different scripts and different ads and doing the meetings with the teams and stuff. But usually I'm back home at 3 p.m. My daughter's school gets off at 3 and that's it. Like that's it. I'm constantly on in my head though. So when I say I'm done at 3, it's like, our team communicates through different technology called Slack, and it's like it's always going, but I don't miss shit for my daughter. I don't miss. And so I built that life though on purpose. I've designed it.
True. I guess the other one's a little bit more on the fitness side of things. Granted, I just kind of fell out of it when my wheels broke down and I need to get back into it. And I've been thinking that for a while. But the part that I struggled the most would be the eating side of things,
Mhm.
obviously. Would you say you're a big advocate for, say, eat every 2 to 3 hours to continue the metabolism or intermittent fasting? Is there anything in particular that you find to be more successful?
So at the end of the day, body composition is going to come down to macronutrient, the totality of calories and protein. Fats and carbs obviously are important depending on different goals. But let's just say that a person's total was, say, 2,500 calories.
Right?
Whether you eat that in 6 meals or 2 meals is irrelevant. Like
Really?
it doesn't matter. Fasting is known to, there's some long-term health benefits with fasting, but for body composition and to look a certain way, it doesn't matter if you house all those calories and protein in 2 meals or four. So it depends on the stage because like if a person wants to cut down, you're going to be eating less than, your baseline. And so when I'm doing that and I'm hungry, I don't want like little tiny bird meals. It just pisses me off. And so I'd rather
Eat.
so when I'm in a cut, I'm usually intermittent fasting, not because of intermittent fasting, but because I'm going to push all my meals back to like 2 p.m. and then I'll have a big dinner because that makes me feel full and then I'm done. Now, right now I'm eating more like 4,000 calories. And so eating eating that in 2 meals is not fun. Like you're just so full. So now I eat like 4 meals at this stage because I'm not in a cut. And that's where it's highly independent for each person. It's like, what's the goal? What's the target? What's the macro breakdown? And at that point, there's different tools that we can help people so that they can hit it easier. But to answer your question in a generalized sense, you got to do you got to do what you can do consistently, right?
Yeah.
Over a long period of time, essentially.
Well,
My Alexa said. That's real. Thank you.
Yep.
John, I really appreciate you coming in. You all know that I expect you to handwrite John a card. I expect that card to be dropped in the mail within 48 hours. I expect it to go to him. It better have something personal that he did or said. And you want to build a connection with people. John, I took some serious copious notes, and literally, I think you and I need to go have another sit down. I got to go work through my own shit. So I'm really excited. I'm really grateful. At this point, we're going to let you go so you don't got to sit through the rest of this. And then I'm going to drill these guys with a couple more things. So
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you having me. Have a good night.
Thank you.
guys,
Thank you, John.
Thanks, John.
I'm going to stop the recording at this point.